Welcome to A Cup of Joe, Espresso Shot. A small yet highly caffeinated shot of tips and tricks to make your business run smoothly and keep your employees happy. Today, I want to talk about failure, something I know more than my fair share about. Failure, everybody does it, but nobody wants to talk about it. It's embarrassing. It leaves you open to ridicule, or at least some mild ribbing by your colleagues. But if you're trying at all, failure will at some point rear its ugly head, and how you handle it can define you. For hackers, failing is a regular part of our job. Not every exploit will be successful. But hey, we're in good company. Thomas Edison, for example, failed something like 9,000 times before he was successful with his light bulb invention. Even Elon Musk has said, failure is an option here. If things are not failing, you're not innovating enough. But frankly, there are times when it can get a little old. I used to joke with my customers that sometimes their networks were so secure, it had me reconsidering my career choices. Maybe I should give up this whole hacking thing and become a nice little neighborhood florist. Have you heard the phrase, failing fast, fail often? It's a mantra that gets tossed around frequently, particularly in startups in Silicon Valley. It's an acceptance that failure is an integral part of the learning process. The real aim of fail fast, fail often is not to fail, but to be iterative. To succeed, we must be open to failure, absolutely. But the intention is to ensure that we are learning from our mistakes as we tweak, reset, and then start over if necessary. Success is an iteration of failure and learning from those failures. So what's the key to learning from mistakes? Self-reflection. Making and correcting mistakes provides us with self-awareness to honestly evaluate what we did wrong and what we need to improve on. Now, sometimes that self-reflection needs a little help. In one of my practices, we had the concept of pen test buddies. Now, I can't remember who came up with the idea, but I'm sure it wasn't me. One of the purposes of the pen test buddy was to have someone you could call when you were hitting a wall, when you were failing, to bounce ideas off of them and get a fresh perspective, or to simply learn what you were doing wrong and get set up for another try. Frequently, holding that conversation with another person was all it took to learn from our failed attempts and to look at it in a new, more successful way. So what's another key to learning from mistakes? Working in an environment that accepts failure and encourages experimentation and taking risks. Now, that's not to say you have permission to be a cowboy or get sloppy on an engagement, but it does mean that when you screw up, own up to it and take steps to prevent it from happening again, and your boss will have your back. There are times when someone on the team knocked something over. They made a mistake, and the client was furious. Now, my rule was it was always better to tell me first before I got the call from the client. I'll take the heat, and then you sit contritely while I vent on you, and then we'll work together to make sure it doesn't happen again. I once flew across the country to show up early on a Monday morning to perform a pen test at my client. Now, sitting in reception, I remember a rather confused-looking client walking up asking what I was doing there. And I said, "I'm here to test your network, piping as cheerfully as possible." And they replied, "No, you're not." "Yes, I am," I responded. "I'm thinking this is just another client fighting the process again. Roll with it." They said, "No, you don't understand. We rescheduled our test." So as the blood was draining from my head, I remember mumbling some sort of excuse and exiting as fast as I could out of the building. I frantically called my project manager to find out how this got screwed up, hoping it wasn't me, but nope, sure enough, the client had rescheduled, and I had been sent a completely updated job sheet, which I had totally missed. Now, to make things worse, it began snowing. Hard. I tried to get another flight, but the airport was canceling flights left and right, and I was stuck. So I called my boss and I explained what I had done. And I remember his raised voice saying something to the effect of, well, get your ass on another flight and get to your customer. So I had to pitifully explain that I couldn't, that a blizzard had hit the town and I would be stuck for a couple of days. Dead silence on the other end of the phone, and I'm thinking, well, this was a nice job while it lasted. And then I heard hysterical laughing. In a calmer voice, my boss chuckled, well, I guess you'll be working on reports for the next couple of days in the hotel room. I don't remember any other details, but I do remember that he was pretty well aware that this sort of thing could happen. And we ended up putting in a new system to keep it from happening again. And then he brought it up in front of everyone at every Christmas party for the next 5 years. But I learned from my experience, and it allowed me to be a better hacker, employee, and eventually a manager. It became part of my onboarding with every new hacker I hired. It helped set expectations about how we would deal with failure. Pen testers and all humans need to know that failure is okay, and it's part of growth. And as a leader, I can use my experience with failure to set up my team for success. Today, I might use the PlexTrac questionnaire module to make sure my team has all the information about the engagement in an up-to-date single source location. If I had access to the platform 10 years ago, I might have been able to get through all those company Christmas parties without having to relive my failure over and over and over again. Well, that's all the time we have today. My name is Joe Pierini, and I am PlexTrac's product evangelist, wishing you happy hacking. Cup of Joe, when you need to be in the know. He's the guy, smooth as silk, hacking networks, drinking milk. Subscribe to PlexTrac's Cup of Joe. Oh. Hi. Yeah.